Episode 2 starts with a flashback of young David with his mom. They were heading for morning prayers. After the prayers, a few family members confronted David's mom since she was Jesse's mistress. Still, she refuses to be shamed and fought back. She used to have visions and saw David's fate long before everyone. She tried to teach David to hear and see God, too.
Show me who I am.
Unfortunately, when David was young, she was killed by a lion while trying to protect him. Before her death, she told David that he had a bright future, but never explained it in detail. After her death, Jesse blamed David and sent him to the hills to look after the sheep. All this puts everything into perspective and explains why David went after the lion. Following his victory, David returns home with the lion's teeth, but Jesse welcomes him with a slap and a warning not to defile him again. Once again, the only one happy to see David is Ava. Meanwhile, at the fortress of Gibeah, Saul's condition gets worse. Michal worries that her father is losing it. He sleeps for days, and when he is awake, he barely seems like himself. She is not the only one concerned. Abner, Saul's advisor, and the queen are also worried. Their worry heightens when Saul reveals Samuel's words and swears them to secrecy. Abner says Samuel's committing treason, while the queen tries to assure Saul of his power. Saul orders Abner to get someone to follow Samuel. On the side, the queen asks Abner to slay the next person that Samuel anoints. Elsewhere in the city of Gath, King Achish tries to unite the Philistia to fight against the Hebrews. However, the 4 kings refuse to join King Achish. Mostly because they don't think Saul is a big threat to them. If anything, they think King Achish is on a revenge mission. Saul killed his dad years ago in a battle. Still, King Achish refuses to give up and embarks on a journey to summon new gods. In the meantime, the princess, along with Joab and Eliab, visit Judah to celebrate a wedding. Though Michal tries to behave appropriately, Merab suspects that they went to Judah to distract people from Saul's illness. At the party, Michal is taken by David's singing talent. She tries to chat him up, but Joab intervenes. Eliab gives David a metal knife from the Amalekites, but David throws it away. Joab grows more offended by David, and Eliab intervenes to keep the peace. The following morning, David shows off his stone-slinging talent and begs Eliab to take him to the battlefield. After a while, Eliab agrees if only to stop David from going alone. On the way, David asks Eliab about his mom, and is happy that Eliab remembers his mom's good nature. On the way, they come across a burnt village and investigate. While there, King Achish corners David. Eliab tries to fight their way out. They manage to escape, but an arrow hits Eliab. David returns him home to get treatment. Back at the fortress, Abner tries to prepare Jonathan to take the throne. He worries that Saul's condition will only get worse. He offers to spar with Jonathan as he shares his worries. However, Saul interrupts them and asks to spar alone with Jonathan. He fights his son aggressively, reminding him that his time is yet to come. Jonathan is convinced that Samuel will get over his fight with Samuel, and God will return to their side. However, Saul claims that Samuel is jealous of his influence and power. Even with his father questioning Samuel's character, Jonathan refuses to believe that Samuel is acting in his self-interest. Later that night, Saul's condition gets worse, and he goes on a rampage. The incident shakes the queen, who has never seen her husband like this. Meanwhile, the commotion causes Jonathan to intervene, and he nearly dies at his father's hands. Jonathan and Abner calm Saul down and plead with him to rest. Episode 3 opens with King Saul tormented by yet another nightmare.
You will never be king. Because of you. No. Because of your pride.
The evil spirit continues to haunt him, depriving him of rest. His visions are relentless. He sees Jonathan slain on the battlefield and hears Samuel's final prophecy echoing in his mind.
I am the King of Israel!
In his agitated and unstable state, his rage gets the best of him, leading to a tragic accident. He kills one of his servants, Josiah. Meanwhile, David rushes Eliab to a doctor who tends to his wounds. Guilt weighs heavily on David as he blames himself for what happened. In an attempt to ease Eliab's suffering, David picks up his harp and begins to play, the soothing melodies bringing a moment of peace amid the pain. Elsewhere, Abner meets with Doeg, instructing him to track Samuel's movements and report back. Doeg, already harboring resentment toward Samuel, agrees without hesitation. When Doeg mentions the growing rumors of Saul's curse, Abner dismisses them, pretending the issue does not exist. In the meantime, Samuel, having finished his prayers, confides in his wife about his troubled heart. He grieves for Saul's downfall and fears for his own safety, knowing that anointing another king while Saul still reigns is an act of treason. However, his wife encourages him to trust in God's plan, even finding amusement in the divine instructions. Resolute, Samuel gathers his apprentice and sets out for Judah to fulfill his mission. Back at the fortress, Queen Ahinoam consoles Josiah's grieving mother, but instead of telling the truth, she fabricates a story about his death. Later, driven by fear, she approaches Abner with a desperate request. She needs his help to contact a medium. She is aware that Abner's mother is among the seers and hopes he can arrange a meeting. Deeply concerned, she believes Saul is losing himself, and if they do not act soon, the kingdom may fall apart. Reluctantly, Abner agrees and takes the queen to a Baal priestess named Besai. The priestess, aware that Saul has outlawed idolatry, demands assurances that she will not be harmed for aiding the queen. Shocked by Ahinoam's request, Besai warns of the dangers of interfering with such dark forces. However, with the queen's assurance of secrecy, Besai proceeds with a ritual meant to counteract Saul's curse. Yet, despite her efforts, Samuel's divine influence proves too powerful, rendering the ritual ineffective. Later, Jonathan encounters Besai at the fortress and immediately realizes what the queen has done. Concerned, he pleads with his mother not to turn her back on God, warning her of the consequences of seeking help from forbidden sources. Sadly, Ahinoam refuses to listen, believing she is doing what is necessary for Saul's sake. Meanwhile, Doeg, following Abner's orders, makes his way to the city of Ramah in search of Samuel. Though Samuel remains elusive, Doeg stumbles upon his young apprentice, who had been left behind to wait. Seizing the opportunity, Doeg tortures the young man, demanding to know Samuel's whereabouts. Back in Judah, Samuel arrives in Bethlehem and requests to see Jesse. However, he is shocked to learn that Jesse has been cast out by the elders due to a past scandal. Determined to proceed, Samuel insists on performing a sacrificial ritual with Jesse's family. Upon arrival, Jesse is both honored and terrified by Samuel's visit. The prophet commands him to summon all his sons for the sacred offering, but Jesse deliberately excludes David. After the ritual, Samuel carefully observes Jesse's sons, searching for the one chosen by God. However, despite their strong appearances, none of them bear the mark of divine selection. Frustrated, Samuel demands that Jesse call for David. David's brothers, assuming he is in trouble, grow uneasy. Eliab, still weak, becomes protective. But as David arrives, the entire family is left speechless. Before their very eyes, Samuel anoints David as the future king of Israel. The prophet realizes that God has chosen David for his pure heart, rather than his strength or status. He even finds it almost ironic. Of all the warriors in the land, the Lord has chosen a humble shepherd. Yet Samuel does not question God's will and carries out the anointing without hesitation. Elsewhere, King Achish of the Philistines embarks on a treacherous journey to the Valley of Giants, seeking an alliance with the fearsome race. The path is fraught with danger, as many who enter the valley never return. Nevertheless, Achish presses on, determined to strike a deal that will strengthen his position against the Israelites. Upon reaching his destination, Achish presents his case to Oprah, the mother of the giants. He persuades her that by joining forces they can finally crush the Israelites once and for all. Oprah, intrigued by his proposition, introduces him to her mighty son, Goliath. Back at the fortress, Saul and his family attempt to maintain the illusion of stability. As he returns triumphantly to his throne, the elders and visitors shower him with praise, unaware of the darkness festering beneath the surface. Though he outwardly basks in the admiration, the truth remains. His grip on the kingdom is slipping, and danger looms ever closer.